Good evening, I'm Brendan Miller. Thank you for joining us. The province of Ontario is investing $3.1 billion to support Indigenous partnerships in critical mineral development. The announcement was made this week by 4 cabinet members with the Ford government as a way to unlock Ontario's critical minerals and ensure Indigenous communities reap the benefits of new mining development in areas like the Ring of Fire. The province is tripling the total amount of loan guarantees through the Indigenous Opportunities Financing Program from $1 billion to $3 billion.
We're talking about big legacy infrastructure projects, resource projects, and how we can best partner with communities and form economic partnerships so that First Nations communities don't just feel that they're a meaningful part of it, but that they have the tools to be that. We've got a couple of recent examples. The Martin Falls and Webequie First Nations long-term agreement to build roads. As those environmental assessments which they have led come off board, we're ready to start some of the preliminary activities associated with building that corridor to prosperity. Just south of it in the Greenstone area, we've been working intensely with the municipality of Greenstone and the First Nations communities around there to build out commercial capacity as a precursor for the kind of legacy infrastructure that's required to support an endeavor like the Ring of Fire. And this included, shortly before the election, the Arrowland First Nation Shared Prosperity Agreement.
Ontario has the critical minerals the world needs: copper, lithium, nickel, cobalt, graphite, and many more. But we're going to need all hands on deck to unleash this economic potential of these critical minerals, and we will work alongside Indigenous partners in the North to do it. And we're starting right now. So that's why today I'm pleased to announce that as the next step in our plan to protect Ontario, and as part of our government's historic 2025 budget, we are investing $3 billion into our new Indigenous Opportunities Financing Program, which will support Indigenous participation in more sectors like electricity, critical minerals, and resource development.
More than 100 people came out to Chapels Park today to participate in the annual Walk for Alzheimer's. The honorary walk leaders this year were Hutzel's Heroes. They credited the local Alzheimer's Society staff with helping their father, Don, after he was diagnosed with Lewy body dementia.
The work they do is nothing short of essential, and together we can help them to continue to be a light for so many other families, just like they have been for ours.
Don Hutzel walked with his family around the loop at Chapels Park. It's estimated that around 2,000 to 3,000 people in the Thunder Bay area suffer from Alzheimer's or some other form of dementia. The walk is sponsored annually by IG Wealth Management, whose team raised over $5,000 for the cause. The overall goal was $30,000, and organizers say they managed to surpass that, thanks to all the support from the community.
Oh, it's extremely important. We're not 100% funded by provincial funds. We really rely on these donations throughout the year to allow us to provide necessary supports to individuals in the region. And so without it, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing.
Today and tomorrow, there's actually thousands of people in hundreds of locations across Canada walking for the Walk for Alzheimer's. And really, we see a growing need to promote products and services to families and individuals who are living with Alzheimer's. There's so many individuals, 700,000 people in Canada right now with Alzheimer's, and with the aging population, that's expected to double in the next 10 years. And we just want to make sure the right tools and mechanisms are in place for those individuals and their families. So IG stepped up a decade ago and really wanted to be the leader on the biggest fundraiser for the Alzheimer's Society of Canada.
The local woman who heads up the Ontario Autism Coalition is reacting to the latest budget from the Ford government, which saw funding for the Ontario Autism Program increase by more than 8%. The total amount rose from $719 million to $779 million. But Coalition President Alina Cameron remains concerned about whether it's enough to make a real difference. Ryan Graham reports.
As part of the provincial budget released last week, this year's funding for the Ontario Autism Program was set at $779 million, a $60 million increase from last year. While the Ontario Autism Coalition does welcome the extra funding, they see it as long overdue. According to Coalition President Alina Cameron, proper care and early intervention are key.
Any increase to the Ontario Autism Program funding-wise is greatly appreciated and needed, but we're left with a lot of questions about where this funding is going to be used specifically. Most families are concerned about access to core clinical services, and we're not sure if that's where it's slated to go. So we know that early intervention is key. We're told that the moment our children get a diagnosis, and we know that from speaking with families through the Ontario Autism Coalition that the families getting invitations now to core clinical services are families that registered for the program in the spring of 2020. So it's minimum a 5-year wait at present, meaning early intervention is not accessible right now in Ontario for anyone.
Premier Doug Ford is calling the new overall budget a plan to protect Ontario, at a time that Canada has become unsteadied by tariffs. Concerns do remain, however, from the Autism Coalition towards the Ford government about the lack of clarity and accountability regarding how this new funding for them will be spent, with a growing concern that this particular crisis is worsening.
The consequences are you have a whole cohort of children in Ontario who are needlessly going through life struggling. There are supports, there are services out there that can help families, they just can't get access to them. And that starts to snowball. You have children who then access the school system, which is also not funded adequately to help children like ours, and they are often excluded from school. And you have families then who have at least one person in the household who's acting as a full-time caregiver. It snowballs very quickly in our world.
Cameron says families across the province are exhausted, and they are hoping this new funding will help fix a broken system and deliver the timely support their children need. Ryan Graham, TBT News.
Northern Ontario education leaders and staff took part in an artificial intelligence seminar this past week. The Future Design School project is aimed at learning more about how AI technology can positively impact classroom learning and the cautionary tale that comes with it. Artificial intelligence is presenting complex challenges for educators who are debating the ethics of integrating the new technology into schools in a responsible and effective way. These education professionals are brainstorming together in hopes of leveraging intelligence to create time efficiencies. AI could help with lesson planning, better overall data analysis, and learning gains for students using AI tutors accompanied by a qualified educator.
Taking a very optimistic approach, thinking about how this has the potential to really transform education, to make learning more relevant and engaging for kids, to meet kids where they're at and really help them to reach those learning gains, but also knowing that that needs to be done very intentionally and very carefully because of the technologies. And so we're having those conversations today around how do we be intentional about the use of artificial intelligence in education, and what do we need to do to prepare and lay the groundwork so that kids are ready to engage in that technology.
AI is basically one of the most important things that has come out of the last 100 years or more. And either we learn and get on board and move forward, or we will be left in the dark. And it's important for our school boards and our students to be on top of this cutting edge intelligence.
Future Design School has ensured that they have created a program that helps every single individual understand how artificial intelligence can positively impact their role, but also the cautionary tale as well. So we have all of these individuals in the same room learning and working together.
A local Anglican church known as the Gathering Table has begun the process of building a 9-story apartment complex in the downtown North Core. The project on Pearl Street would be geared towards senior living. The new building will be directly beside the church itself, where the former rectory stood before it was demolished. While the city does have a bylaw restricting building heights to preserve the view of the harbor, city staff say the 9-story structure would fall within the guidelines. The parish priest of the Gathering Table, the Reverend Ann Chambers, says the motivation for this project is to make a difference in the community.
The vision for this property is to build a 9-story. The first floor will be for the food cupboard and for support services. The other eight floors would have single bedroom units, and that would be aimed for seniors, all affordable, all eco-friendly, and all accessible, barrier-free.
While it is still early in the permit application phase, the aim for the project's completion is 2027.